like the great bro. You can't feed yourself like a little kitten. Came prepared with the verse written. I don't bullshit when you bullshitting. Time is money, nigga. Hit a tick and let you take a shot just to see you bricking. Grown man still a mama's boy. Mama stood by the boy toy. Nigga break like Chips Ahoy. My shit a bean, homie, fuck a soy. I grind for mines, then I hold it down. Off of 16 hours, I don't fuck around. Bought my words like a compound. You don't need to swim to see a nigga drown. I would never quit my day job, cause my day job is my play job. Take money from my day job and I make raps like bank job. Flow hit.
Alright guys, let's get this energy up. So I got a 2008 Nissan Altima. This is a coupe 2.5 engine. No need to get into details, what type of engine, Q, whatever. I'm familiar with the VQ35. I believe this is the VQ25. I could be wrong. Ultimately, you know I don't care. I could cuss. I could have cussed, but I didn't. Proceeding with the video. So the issue with this, we put in an engine. No need to get into the details. This engine is dying. It's not good. So we gotta get another engine. We're not getting into no details. Why? That's up to you when you diagnose the car. That's not my job. I don't get into that. I worry about my job and how I get things done. And we are replacing the engine. We're gonna put a used replacement, something with low miles, okay, guarantee up to a certain amount of point with the warranty, I believe 6-month warranty, just to get them going. And when I find engines, I make sure I get something good. I try not to put myself in, you know, every now and then you get like a bad apple, but it is what it is. You want some, you lose some. So this is going to be a guide. I'll break this down in parts. I will offer a complete guide if you guys want this as a whole. So at least with this, I'll try to break it down. I'm going to try. We do a quick version, right? Where we skip some things, right? Just to get to the point, because a lot of people don't like when I talk and want me to get straight to the point like how I'm talking right now, right? But there are people who really want to learn, who want to do a job like this and don't want to pay nobody. But with the small fee, I will offer a complete guide as if I'm Haynes Manual or something like that, except for just Leek's Manual. I'll give you my knowledge, not from a book. I mean, yes, I do things from a book, but because this is what I do for a living, I imagine this is a no-brainer just to remove the engine. Para quitar el motor, sin problema, ¿sí? Es lo que quiero. Tantos plásticos que I gotta remove them. That's a lot. That's a lot. But no voy a quejarme de nada porque es mi trabajo. Tú sabes que me gusta mi trabajo, me encanta mi trabajo y toda esa mierda, mi gente. So I'm gonna begin with a few things. Like I said, we're putting the details. If you want the quick version, if you want the short version, by then you'll see on the long version. I'm talking long on the short version. I would have already cut this video, right? My point exactly. So special members, special things. People want the quick way, you get the fast Eddie way. That's what my dad used to call my barber. You get the fast Eddie way, or if you want the slow way and you want to learn, you pay a fee. I save you money and I don't ask for much tip, whatever. But what I'm going to be offering with the guide, you want it, I pull you out of that comfort zone and make you feel like you can get it done. You get what I'm saying? All right, first things first, you need to be able to remove these plastics like this air duct system. This guy's 2 bolts on the side, 110 that goes here, but there was one missing. And we have a 10 right here. Then we also have, mind you, I'm going to be in and out cutting scenes or whatever. You want the quick version or you want the long one, you pay for it. I will be constantly, because I know this is an official guide. And there's not many guides on this. So if I'm one hand wash the other, I'm helping you out, help me out, whatever. Remove the air duct system, then you're going to remove the air filter box, whatever you want to call it. This intake boot right here, there is a clamp, but however you want to do it, it looks like you want to leave the clamp on here. However you want to do it, separate it from the clamp. You can also separate it from the valve cover as well. Ultimately, we need to get this air duct system out. Now you need to get the battery out. That should have been the first thing you already did. The computer on the side is a 10mm bolt. You need to separate that. I shouldn't be able to have to tell you what's what from specific angles. If I'm pointing at something, you should be able to know what it is. This is a guide. This is not a specific how-to. I'm showing you how to, but I'm not going to guide you all the way because y'all pay federal government for everything else or whatever. I'm not your teacher. It's just my channel. This is my way. You don't like my way, you go on somebody else's highway. So it's a 10mm bolt right here you're going to remove, and that separates this bracket. And then you got the stay bracket right here, two 10mm nuts on the side. Lift that up. Of course, you already would have got your cable separated, and then the battery comes straight up. And then we're going to be removing this, and let's get it removed. All right, so like I said, I was already missing a bolt. Oops. Go off to the side. I like to keep my bolts in a specific area where I know I can find these things, and however you want to do is totally up to you. I don't care. So this comes out, no problem. Just lift it straight up, and I want to set this off to the side for now. Like I said, I usually keep parts around under the vehicle, and like bolts on the cowl. I also have a method where I'll introduce to you in a second when we get to that part. But for now, let's worry about a few things. Just disconnected. I apologize, guys. I did say to let's get this battery disconnected, and be careful. You're going to use power tools. This one is pretty strong, so don't hit it too hard if you have this gun. And then there's a battery charger out the way. Let's get this. Cool. Bam. Shouldn't have to take the last nut completely out all the way. I'm gonna do that. Just enough to get the rod out of one side. If you want to leave it in there for now, you can. I need to get this separated. So this is an 8mm. So give me 1 minute. It looks like I was wrong about this positive cable. It looks like someone put like a spade type on there or whatever, just to get it connected. And that one was a 10. It was just a smaller version of a 10. So let's put this right there for a second. Let's up on the battery. Put this off to the side. It'll be a good time if you have like a little small charger. I have an 8 amp battery charger that I do use, that I got from AutoZone, the Dorlast brand, that probably top the battery off while it's just sitting there, just to get it out the way, so that way when I'm ready to start the vehicle, there's no problem. There's a battery tray, get that out. And if you want, I'll sit that on top of the battery terminals. Why? Just so nothing connects to the post. I mean, not the terminals, I meant the post. And this hooks out of a hole. You can see that as a hook. And let's get this stay off to the side. There is some nuts in a bracket, and let's get that organized. And one of the things I wanted to discuss was the Ziploc bag method. Is like what I like to use. It don't have to be like Ziploc bag, but we call it that. Of course, that's just the brand, but that's what we call it at. I like to keep everything organized. You should see our bag right here and a bag over there if you can't see. And the reason why I do this is because I don't want to lose my steps. It's like leaving breadcrumbs for me to come back to my original position. So I'm good. Next we're going to get, there's a bracket for another battery tray, or at least that was a plastic tray, but there's another tray. You need to be able to separate this computer out and get a camera over here in a second, but there is 1, 2, looks like a 12 or 13. I'll let you know when I get there. And going all around the tray itself is just various bolts. Let's get that separated as well. I think we need to remove this air box, so let's get this out the way so we have space to get this tray. Check out your air filter. Now be a good time, since you got the housing off. If you think you need an air filter, get it, an air filter. I want to grab some pliers because I'm going to separate this quick clip and squeeze the tabs on the sides like a little quick locking clip that literally locks into place, and separate the mass air flow sensor. And then from the mass air flow sensor, we need a flathead screwdriver so we can separate the intake boot. And assuming with these Nissans, sometimes you can wiggle this hope off the valve cover, just like how I just did, and it came off no problem. This boot is already replaced. There's known issues for people having problems with this boot. Let's get this boot off. And there is a long, if you go deep down in here, is a 10mm bolt for this housing right there. Get the bolt. I don't need to show you a picture of that because I told you. So I went ahead and fastly backed off that 10mm bolt, so that is loose. So I should be able to, I imagine, get my 2 fingers down in there to finish the bolt out. So I'm just going to leave it off. I'm going to leave it on there. until I can lift up off of it. You're gonna have to lift up hard because there's a rubber grommet that this housing rests on. There's like a little leg for it that rests in there. And lift up on it. Just like that. You have this part right here, goes into a grommet on the side of the bracket for the battery tray. So let's get this air box off to the side. If you wanna connect both halves of the air boxes together just to keep things safe, you could. So now it looks like we're making progress. Why look like we're making progress? Why? Because you can see things. This is very, very, very good. And I'm gonna chime in on this video, or at least this part of the job. It was said that in the steps, I'll put a little snippet before, if I could recover the video, that I did 2012 Nissan Altima before. I believe it was 11 or 12, and I did the engine. I did it on a lift, and I dropped it off on the bottom. In this case, obviously, I'm doing it from a shop's perspective. Assuming you're a do-it-yourselfer, you're in a garage, whether you're in your driveway. With this guide, I wanted it to be known that you can do it without a lift, right? So how I'm going to do it, I'm literally going to, whatever it is I can do to get it out without taking off the front end, that's my last resort, which is not a problem to do that. But mostly I'm going to try to get away with stripping down some of the things off the engine. I'm going to want a catalytic converter or this intake manifold right there. If I get those things out, I should have clearance and get the radiator fans, certain accessories like alternator, AC compressor. This will eliminate, free up some space for me basically in a way that I can map things better. And I just feel like that I will be able to sneak this engine out from the top, and if need be it, I may have to remove this strut tower bar that go across the engine, or this wiper cowl that may help. All in all, what I'm saying is, this is not like steps that I'm following from anybody. This is my steps, so I'm freestyling. So if you don't like the way I do things, feel free to F off. You know, I don't care. Should be sorry to stutter or whatever, but I'm saying is, y'all should be thankful somebody like me is filming this and taking the time. And a lot of people complain and really don't pay nothing. Don't even tip. We save you money, but y'all complain to us. That's literally how it is, and y'all don't tip, and that's like real foul. All right, so I want to put my headlamps on, mis focos. Y voy a quitar los tornillos aquí. Se queda con 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, probablemente 6 a 7 tornillos que tiene que quitar. Alright, so it looks like the bracket is free, and like I said, I'm sorry I said it in Spanish, but there are 7 bolts. Hay 7 tornillos que tienen que quitar, y I'm talking to you, a ti. And put these bolts up. Voy a meter los tornillos en esta cosa aquí. Un momento. That make me wanna cough or sneeze or something, all that. Be careful about the dust that came up. I was literally caught myself for a second. So let's get this removed. And this looks like if I separate, let's see if I can get a screwdriver in here. There's gonna be one of those press-in tabs that if you press in hard enough, you'll be able to sneak like a bracket, lift it up off of it like how I'm doing it. Separate. So there's a little stupid plastic lock and clip thingy set up, majiggy, whatever. It's stupid. That's all you need to know. Oh, ooh, 1 second, guys. All right, so let's get this bolt for the wire harness. I should have set up my GoPro, but realistically, when I'm editing, I don't be having time for that. I just like to use one camera. Like I said, this is a guide. If you're mechanically inclined, I shouldn't have to like baby you like with everything. So let's leave that off to the side for a second. Let's get this one out. Looks like we got another bracket. here to separate. Realistically, get you a set of picks because it's going to work, but in this case I could get away with using the tip of the screwdriver, which seems to help him get my fingernail in there. And with both together, lift that up off and put this by the battery. Now we're not done. The thing about Nissan, this part is annoying. I remember working for Nissan. We used to get transmissions back to back to do them like a 2014, 15, or at least like the 15 and 16 is more so probably. So these brackets, they put them, they break them up weirdly, for it's a pain in the A to try to get these out. So there's another bracket. If you want to keep it in here, you could. Imagine me trying to take this engine out, this will be in my way. So it looks like we're going to make that decision to remove it. So there are bolts on the side, like one bolt if you stick your finger down in here, that is a 13 millimeter, and that looks kind of oxidated. And you got another one on the side. If you can get those two bolts out, and there's two bolts for, there's another harness that's joined in together inside some box or whatever, right? There's two bolts for that bracket, 10 millimeters. If you can get those out, those 4 bolts, and we can move forward with the, you know, processing the next steps on other things to remove. So let me get this bracket out. All right, get this bracket. I got one more bolt left, or at least, I'm sorry, for the bracket side, but it's also those 10 millimeter bolts. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get there, but let me do my thing. Don't stress about if bolts fall. You'll see them when you get the engine out, so I wouldn't stress about it too much. And not even getting the details of that. So put this bolt right here for a second, so I can properly lift up on this bracket. And now I can get a 10 millimeter set up on here on my ratchet if I switch swivel sockets. And let's get that in there. Then I got one more. Alright, that was a little tight getting on. Alright, let's separate it. And that's out. Put the bracket off to the side. Now for bolts, I usually just screw them back into place. Why do I do that? Why? So I can keep my bolt like configuration pattern. Basically, I can be properly mapped. You get what I'm saying? And I didn't mean to throw that hard, but I imagine that steel or metal is not going to cry. Let's get these bolts screwed back in here. Now, computer, obviously, we need to get that out of here too. Why? I don't want this in here. We also have another module on the side. I'm not sure if it's a T-case module, transfer case. Transmission. Either way, I want to separate it. Just take your fingernail or pick, pressing the tab. It's nothing to struggle over. Don't think about it. Just remove it. Sometimes you gotta kind of guide it out when you're trying to get it out or wiggle. I imagine these don't come out often. And the last connector. And these are dummy proof connecting these, so don't worry about putting them in the wrong spot. And it looks like we have an attachment still. No, we come out as a whole as in the bracket. So let's put this computer, I want to set it in the driver's seat, so that way it has a nice comfy bed or something like that, or let's set it on a carpet in the vehicle. Let's do that, and we're good. So now I can gauge like my mental measurements on what I think I need to do to get this engine out. What's things I need to start with? Is it possible? For me, I feel like it's possible. Why? Because I have some space if I can get this mount out on the side. This engine and transmission mounts on the frame itself rather than the subframe. So what I'm going to do is proceed. I'm going to leave the engine and transmission connected, separate stuff from the fuse box and leave that hanging on the engine. Remove the cooling fans like I said. We got a couple ground straps probably remove. Since I got room on that side, I can gauge on this side too. I imagine if I remove some of these accessories and pulleys, I got even more space. And I'm going to finesse this intake manifold out. If I get those things that I listed out, I'm certain that I can get this engine out without taking or dropping it from the bottom or removing the whole front end. El siguiente is a clip right here. Be careful, they will kind of fly out, whatever. This look like it's missing clips or whatever the case may be. Don't let that stop you. This deck, when you're putting things back together, just make sure you do the best you can, or go get some like alternative source to try to get these clip situation rectified. So let's get this up to the side. And since it's only like one clip for me, I imagine that I can just put it in a bag with the lug nuts, and I can remember that it's in a bag with the lug nuts, right? Good thing we got bags, right? Separate everything. Next, I'm going to remove the drop belt. Why I'm going to remove the drop belt? Because I want to be able to remove the alternator. And then for me removing the alternator, I'm going to try to separate the AC compressor. So another thing that I'm going to do is you can start draining your engine oil and filter. Or more so, you need to take off the engine filter. Why? Because when you're taking this engine out, this will stop you from getting the engine out. So you need to get the oil filter out. So let me work my way getting this bolt. I'm in the tool set up to get the belt removed, the serpentine belt. So give me 1 second. All right, can we get this coolant reservoir out? And then there's a 10mm bolt. There's a bracket, but in this case the bracket is already broke, so we can't worry about that. Maybe we can do some type of epoxy deal. So now we can just lift up on it, and then it'll come out of this slot. So stick that off to the side. We can drain it, whatever you want to do for now. Stick this right here and worry about it later. Why? Because I'm worried about the belt situation. The only thing I got to do is grab some needle nose pliers and realistically just, you know, like back it off. But I imagine I'm going to have a coolant leak. I need to get my oil, my coolant drain pan separated, and I'm going to separate the coolant from the engine oil. Now I can figure out what I need for the alternator. So in this case there is no tensioner. Looks like there's no tensioner. So I believe if, you know, the good part about you know, I got the tripod and nobody all up on my face with the camera. I got plenty of breathing room. I don't let nobody all up on me. Sometimes it depends. In this case, it's working out good for me because we're working with comfort, a good level of comfort. So I'm using my wrench setup to trick it, double the wrench up, to use it as get some leverage to crack it free. Or what I'm doing is releasing the tension, and the belt is free, so I don't have to worry about the belt. I was hoping for like a manual tensioner from the top on the alternator, how they used to do like in the old Maxes or whatever, but clearly this ain't a Max. But you know where I'm going with this, so it made everything a lot easier for me. So now with the belt, I'm going to remove this. It'd be a good time to check your belt out. Let me see if you need a good belt. We're going to cracks in this belt so we can reuse this. So I want to set that off to the side. So I'm going to work this. I believe that's a 12. The power cable, that's the next thing I'm working with. I'm moving forward, guys. But that's a 12mm nut. Be careful, I just crack it free before I actually use power. Because you can rip the terminal off, and I did drop that somewhere on the floor. I really don't want to waste too much time trying to search for it. Make a note to recover it probably when I'm editing the video. No, realistically, I get under there in a few minutes and try to receive this nut. And I'm not worried about no alternator nut because I got plenty of them in here. So let's get this off to the side. Look like we're losing coolant. I don't like that, so let me get a catch can set up. I guess it's safe to take this hose out since it want to give me a problem. So let's separate it. I don't know why it's goofy. This is a old rusty. Be careful. I'm sorry I moved the camera. I didn't mean to do that. I don't know why I'm apologizing to y'all in the first place. But it's probably because I'm on the cardboard. Let's do it again. It's gonna wiggle this off of my fingernails. Come on. Here we go. And get this out of there. You want to plug it with like a bolt, you can. I'm just going to sit it upright so that way it don't leak out with the tube facing up in the up position. So that's good. Next I'm going to remove the alternator now. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a, what size is this? A 14 millimeter. And let's get my swivel on here. Got two nuts, two bolts, one 14 right here and another one down there. Mind you got a problem because you can't see, then you need to know the difference between a specific how-to. This, you ain't paying me, I'm not your instructor, but I'm just guiding you. This is me guiding my job. And then two, you can come here and film for me if you got a problem. I don't think you're gonna do this. You can just shut up. One. And see if I can push this hose in just a little bit. Ooh, I got butterfingers today. Let's go retrieve that bolt. And here we go. Got it. Alright, stick this up here for now. I'm gonna give her a pry bar and lightly pry that out. Alright, so bro James just got here, so I have to hurry up because we're finna go get my tools, my toolbox, and let's wiggle. Gotta wiggle it out. Pretty much it'll come out, and you should have room to finesse it out. If you want to leave it off to the side, you can. I imagine it shouldn't take much to get this alternator out. If I can finesse it out a certain way, it looks like maybe I just gave you an alternator job at the same time. Let's see if I can sneak it past. Come on. Oh man, this long ratchet is annoying. There we go. Now we can get the alternator out. I'm going to stick this off to the side as well. Alright, moving forward, I had to do a couple things. Number one, get my toolbox. I don't know if you can see it behind me in the camera, but if not, whatever. When I work into this fuse box, going to lift this lid off. I imagine doesn't take much and lift off on another one that's on the side. Cool, I didn't want to touch it. We're going to get a harness that is, it looks like, if I need to make sure, yeah, I'm going to separate a wire harness if I'm following here for one of these connections that's maybe a few of these that's inside. Why? Because I want the engine harness to stay with the engine. I don't want to separate it. That's just decreases the time instead of that I have to spend on trying to remove like things around the engine. Basically, I'm trying to take the engine out as a whole the way it is, and it's going to be certain stuff that I'm going to eliminate to create space. But for one, let's start with this. I want the whole wire harness to stay with the engine. So there will be a harness, it looks like, that I could separate, or it's maybe another one underneath this box. I don't know. Whatever it is I do, I'll make sure you guys know about it. My apologies for moving so forward, but at least you was able to, in a couple of descriptions and fast forward clips, I had showed you that I got the wire harness and I separated it in a way I didn't have to completely separate the whole box. And I imagine some of this stuff you don't have to completely take out, which is no problem. You can always put it back into place. No problem, that snaps into place. And at least I had to separate a main connector from off of here and rest that over there along with the wires for the PCM. There was like another small connector hooked up with the ground wire. I got a phone call, I'm sorry. I'm not like focused for a second, I apologize. And a couple white connectors that rest up underneath here, or I'm sorry, in a fuse box. Ultimately, you don't need to remove this section or whatever is under here, so I'll be sure to connect that back. But like I said, I'm winging this because I'm not using like a set steps. I'm using whatever it is. I'm freestyling pretty much. So at least I got what I need. So that means for me that there is no electrical connection to the engine. It's separate. So the wire harness is on it, except for what's already connected. It's not connected to the car side. So we got that squared away. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the fuel line. And you could start with, or you got a helper, you can get ready to start getting these heater hose connections off. If you want to start lubing them down with something, PB Blaster, I don't know what you want to use. I imagine you want to use the hose again, so be careful how it is. If it's too swelled up, just get another one. Just match it up at a part store. It's just a hose with a few kinks, don't worry about it. So we're going to use a 3/8 fuel disc quick disconnect. And I believe that's what the line is. It looks like it. And if you don't know how to use this tool, I believe I got a video. I'll try to resurface it. If I don't got a video, then I'm pretty sure somebody else got a video. So I'm going to finesse this out, move that just like there, and I need to, this one don't work, so I'll have to use the other one. If you don't realistically want to remove this hose from the quick connection side with the tool, there's also another easier route you can use, but I don't want to intertwine the two because I really want to keep the hose on the side. Covering for the fuel line. Imagine that just separates once we use our thumb to lift up off of it, and should already depressurize the fuel already. If you want, just leave the fuel cap off the tank. It'll degas itself on its own, depressurize I mean, but that takes time as well. But we're in a rush, so I'm going to squeeze the 2 tabs and try to lift up on it at the same time, and just going to separate the fuel line from off of the engine, and you will lose fuel. It's okay, it's just fuel, it will leak out. If you want to be like me and use a towel, shop towel, let it drip on there for a minute, let it do what it do. It'll evaporate fast. So I'm probably going to hit the camera at this point. We're going to find something else for us to move. Oh, you can remove your evap lines because that goes back to the tank. So if I were you, there's a line that look like, if I take some needle nose pliers, and this line is right next to where the fuel, they usually paired up together because they go back to the tank pretty much area. So I'm going to get the clamp, squeeze it, no diddy. And I'm gonna, why am I telling you how to remove a clamp? I don't think I need to. Either way, I got the hose off, so that's separated. I'm gonna leave that off to the side. So we have the fuel system disconnected, evap system disconnected, separated. Shift cable that you saw in the fast forward clip that I separated, which was easy. There's a ground cable on the transmission. If you follow this negative cable over here down on the transmission, you can separate that. But I worry about that when I get it in the air and I'm separating the suspension. So I do have heater hoses connected. You could start separating those however you want to do it, from the firewall or from this outlet housing right there. Upper radiator hose you can disconnect, but right now I don't want to lose coolant. I'm not ready yet, so I'm going to leave the coolant hose still connected. Next, we're going to do the intake manifold. Exhaust manifold, I apologize. Why? Because I want to reduce, I want to increase my space actually. So it's 10mm bolts. For you, that's a random 10s like flying around. Like I said, I'm not going to stress about it because those weren't original anyway. And I got plenty of 10s, so we'll get there when we get there. Just be sure to retrieve that. Get that out of there. If you got hard time getting, some of your bolts might break off. I don't know your condition, but these been out before. And me before, I had to replace these bolts because they were rusty. And I was able to get them out. But whatever, you know how that go. So I'm gonna set those nuts inside of the shield for now. If you want, that shield is not going nowhere, it's going under the vehicle. Put those in the bag. So we have the exhaust manifold exposed, which we got various. It looks like 14mm bolts. We got uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. Hay 5 tornillos que tiene que quitar. I'm gonna start from here and then going underneath the car in a triangular pattern. I believe there's like 13 or 14mm bolts to remove. I'm not going to show you that part underneath because I don't want to put my nice camera underneath the vehicle and I gotta lay on my back and I don't have an assistant. So I do have another video of me doing replacing this exhaust manifold, but you see underneath me removing the bolts. Just use your imagination. I'll do my best to get you the video, but for now let's just worry about separation of the exhaust manifold. I'm going to use a bigger setup because it's just easier for me. I'll try to use an extension so I can sneak in there. 1 second. Free. Oh my God. I use this, why? Because when I'm cracking it, it better go free on the first one. Why? Because I don't have time to be waiting for them smaller ratchets. When I could use, I do got other ones, but I use what I use. This makes sense. I just want to get straight to the point realistically. So now, I'm going to zap them off with my gun, electric. Let's start with the middle. We're going to Ziploc bag these because it's multiple. Sometimes if it's like a few, I might not do it, but it depends. Realistically, I do as many as I can. I might not get them all in Ziplocs, but I get as many. And with the edges. The reason why I always start in the middle when I'm removing like manifold bolts or something that's kind of large in size, they got different bolt pattern. I don't know, it's just used to just force a habit from always following repair instructions when they tell you to do it in a sequence to tighten something and to remove something so you don't warp a surface. So I'm just used to that. But I'm pretty sure with this used engine, I could have just zapped all of them out with no problem, but I just force a habit. So I want to Ziploc bag these bolts. Alright, next from underneath the vehicle, you can see that I got the manifold out. It comes out as a one piece. We're going to order a new catalytic converter too. We have 1, 2, and there's 2 more up top. 13mm bolts. It could be a 12 or 13. You'll figure it out when you get there. And we're going to take those off and the other 2 from the top. Why? Because we're going to avoid discharging the AC. We're going to try saving the refrigerant. So I believe I can get this motor out without discharging the AC, and that is absolutely a beautiful thing. And from the top view, you should be able to see right where the AC line is. You'll see in a connector, you'll see 2 of the same bolts that I pointed out. I don't want to reach my hand all the way over there and lose my balance because I'm arching over this vehicle. But you get my drift. So once we get all 4 out, you can just freely let the AC compressor hang in. Like I said, we avoided discharging the refrigerant. So that means we don't have to pay for refrigerant. That's good.